There comes a point in life when everything familiar begins to fade. Friends grow distant, loved ones feel far away, and even your own voice seems lost in the silence. Loneliness settles in, not just around you, but within you. You begin to wonder if anyone truly sees you, if your presence still matters in a world that feels colder by the day. But through the eyes of Buddhist wisdom, this solitude is not a punishment, it's an invitation. It's not a sign that you are unloved or forgotten. It is a sacred space where awareness can grow and where your true self begins to emerge. Loneliness is not your enemy, it is your teacher. As the Buddha once said, if you find no one to support you on the spiritual path, walk alone. There is no companionship better than awareness. Even in your quietest, most distant moments, you are never truly alone. 1. Loneliness is not a curse, it is a mirror revealing the forgotten self. Most people think of loneliness as something negative, something painful that needs to be fixed or avoided as quickly as possible. We turn on the television, scroll through social media, or surround ourselves with noise, not because we're truly busy, but because we're afraid of being alone with our thoughts. But in Buddhist wisdom, loneliness isn't seen as a punishment or a flaw in your personality. It's actually seen as an opportunity, a mirror that shows you things you haven't been willing to face. This mirror doesn't reflect how the world sees you. It reflects how you see yourself when all distractions are stripped away. It quietly reveals the dreams you left behind because life got too loud, the feelings you buried under responsibilities, the true self that was once full of life and curiosity but has been silenced by expectations, disappointments, and the constant need to fit in. In your loneliness, you don't discover something new, you uncover what's been there all along, waiting patiently beneath the noise. We often base our identity on how other people treat us. If people like us, we feel worthy. If they ignore us, we start to doubt ourselves. But this way of living keeps you dependent on things you can't control. It keeps you chasing approval instead of discovering your own voice. Loneliness removes the outside noise so that you can finally hear what's going on inside. At first, that silence can be uncomfortable, but eventually it becomes a space of truth. Remember, even the Buddha didn't reach enlightenment surrounded by crowds or praise. He reached it in deep silence, under the Bodhi tree, alone with his thoughts, his fears, and his searching heart. He didn't run from the emptiness, he turned toward it. And in doing so, he found clarity. So the next time you feel completely alone, don't rush to escape it. Pause, breathe, sit with it. Because your solitude is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is a sacred space where healing begins, where clarity arises, and where your forgotten self comes home. You don't need someone else to complete you when you finally understand that being alone is not a punishment. It's an invitation. Solitude is not empty, it is full of truth. And when you stop fearing it, it becomes the most honest teacher you'll ever meet. 2. You are not being punished, you are being protected and redirected. When people leave your life without warning, when relationships break apart, or when you find yourself excluded from groups, plans, or conversations, you might start to believe that you've done something wrong. It can feel like you're being punished, like life is taking something away from you because you're not good enough, smart enough, or lovable enough. That pain is real, but the meaning you attach to it isn't always true. From a Buddhist perspective, when something or someone disappears from your life, it's not always a loss, it might actually be protection in disguise. Life has its own quiet intelligence. Sometimes it removes people not to hurt you, but to save you from harm you don't yet see. Maybe that friend was slowly draining your energy, pulling you away from your purpose, or planting seeds of self-doubt inside your mind. Maybe that opportunity you desperately wanted would have taken you down a path that looked good on the surface, but was empty underneath. You may not understand why things are being taken from you now, but that's because you're still standing in the middle of the story. Clarity comes later, like a sunrise after a long night. Buddhism teaches that attachment leads to suffering, not just attachment to things, but attachment to people, plans, and expectations. When those attachments are cut, it can feel like the ground is being pulled from beneath your feet. But what's really happening is this: you are being realigned. The people who are meant to walk with you in your next chapter will show up in that chapter, not this one. And those who quietly exit your life are not your enemies. They are simply not part of your soul's current journey. This is not a punishment. It is a deep rearranging of your life to make space for something more aligned with your truth. Trust that not every loss is a mistake. Some of them are divine redirections. You are not being abandoned. You are being carefully guided by something higher than your pain. One day, you'll look back and realize that the silence, the separation, and the loneliness were not signs that you were unloved. They were signs that life was pulling you away from what was safe but small and preparing you for something greater than you could imagine. So the next time you're wondering why no one stayed, why everything changed, or why you feel pushed into solitude, remember this: life isn't closing doors to punish you. It's opening invisible ones you can't see yet. And sometimes, in order to rise, you first have to be alone, not because you're not enough, but because you are finally becoming who you were always meant to be. 3. The universe that you seek outside already exists within you. When you feel lonely, it's natural to start looking outward for comfort. You might check your phone, hoping someone remembered you. You might scroll endlessly, trying to feel connected. You might sit in silence, wondering why no one is reaching out. In those moments, your heart aches for someone to make you feel seen, loved, and understood. But Buddhism gently reminds us that the connection we truly seek, the feeling of belonging, peace, and wholeness, doesn't live outside of us. It already exists inside. From the Buddhist view, everything in this world is interconnected. The same breath that fills your lungs moves through forests, oceans, and stars. The same energy that flows through mountains and rivers flows through your veins. You are not separate from the universe. You are an expression of it. You don't have to chase approval or attention to feel worthy. You were already born with value. You are already part of something far greater than you realize. When you sit in silence, you are not disappearing. You are expanding. Your awareness grows wide like the sky. Your breath becomes an anchor, connecting you to every living thing. You begin to feel a stillness, a presence that has always been there but was drowned out by noise. That presence is your inner self, and it is not empty. It is full of life, full of love, full of wisdom. It doesn't need to be fixed or filled by someone else. It just needs to be remembered. The Buddha taught that our suffering often comes from forgetting who we are. We forget that we are already whole, that we are already enough, that we don't need constant reassurance from the outside world to feel okay on the inside. When you begin to see yourself not as someone lacking love, but as someone already made of love, something shifts. The loneliness becomes lighter. The silence becomes sacred. Instead of saying, "No one cares about me," try asking, "Have I cared for myself today?" Instead of thinking, "No one sees me," ask, "Have I taken time to see my own heart?" Because the truth is, when you come home to yourself, you'll never be truly alone again. So the next time you sit in your room feeling unwanted or invisible, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and remember, you are not a disconnected piece of the universe. You are the universe, experiencing itself through your life. The peace you seek is not far away. It is already living inside you, patiently waiting to be noticed. 4. Suffering is not the end, it is the beginning of spiritual awakening. When you're in pain, especially the pain of being alone, your first instinct is often to escape, You want to feel better, and fast. You look for distractions, for reassurance, for something in thee that will numb the discomfort. But Buddhism teaches something radically different. It teaches that pain is not a problem to avoid. It's a signal, a sacred knock at the door of your soul, asking you to go deeper. In fact, it's often in your lowest moments, when everything feels broken, when no one is around, when your heart is heavy, that the true path to inner growth begins to open. When Siddhartha Gautama left his palace, he didn't walk into comfort. He walked into suffering. He saw sickness, aging, and death, and it shook him. But instead of hiding from it, he embraced the discomfort and began asking powerful questions. Why do we suffer? What is the root of human pain? How can we find true freedom? And in seeking these answers, he became the Buddha, the awakened one. Your loneliness is not meaningless. It's a doorway, a beginning. The fact that it hurts means your soul is paying attention. The ache in your chest is not just sadness, it's awakening. It's the part of you that wants truth more than comfort, growth more than distraction. And even though it's difficult, this is where transformation begins. This is where you start to shed the false layers that were built from outside expectations, layers of needing to be liked, needing to be needed, needing to be constantly surrounded to feel whole. Pain has a strange way of turning down the world's volume and turning up your inner truth. It removes the masks, it clears the fog, it reveals where your peace was built on shaky ground. And while this process can feel cruel, it is actually sacred, because it's forcing you to build something real, something lasting, something no one can take away from you. The Buddhist path doesn't promise a life without suffering. It teaches that suffering is a part of life, but also that it holds the seeds of liberation. When you stop running from your loneliness and instead lean into it with curiosity, you begin to notice what's really going on inside. You begin to heal not by pushing the pain away, but by understanding it, sitting with it, breathing through it. The hardest moments in your life are not punishments. They are openings. You may not see it right now, but this sadness, this silence, this aching feeling of being unseen, it's preparing you. It's refining you. It's shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, more compassionate, and more awake than you've ever been before. So don't rush this part of your journey. Don't try to numb the pain too quickly. Let it speak. Let it teach. Because hidden inside the suffering you wish would go away is the very awakening your soul came here to find. 5. Your loneliness is shared by all beings. You are not alone in feeling alone. When loneliness wraps itself around you like a cold blanket, it often whispers a dangerous lie that you are the only one feeling this way, that no one else understands, that everyone else is connected, laughing, loved, and surrounded while you sit silently with your thoughts, unseen and untouched. You look around and see smiling faces, perfect lives on screens, happy families in parks, and you start to believe that something must be wrong with you. You begin to think, why me? Why am I the only one who feels this invisible and forgotten? But Buddhism offers a very different and liberating truth. You are not alone in feeling alone. The pain you feel right now is not proof of your isolation, it's proof of your humanity. Everyone at some point in life carries this same weight in their heart. The ache of disconnection is not unique to you. It is something every human soul encounters on the journey through life. Even the people you envy, the ones who seem to have everything, have sat in silence at night wondering if they truly matter. Even those who seem strong and surrounded have known moments when they felt completely lost inside. In Buddhist teachings, this universal suffering is known as dukkha, the unavoidable pain that all living beings experience. It is not a flaw. It is part of the human condition. To suffer is not to fail. It is to be alive. And within that shared suffering is the root of compassion, because the moment you realize that others hurt too, that others carry their own silent burdens, you begin to feel a softening in your heart. You stop feeling like a broken outcast and begin to understand that you are part of something larger. You are part of the human story, and your chapter, however lonely it may feel, is not separate from the rest. It is connected, deeply, invisibly, beautifully. This realization does not always take the pain away instantly, but it does change how you hold it. Instead of seeing your loneliness as a wall that separates you from others, you begin to see it as a bridgeone that links you to the hearts of people all around the world who are also silently wondering if they're alone. You begin to carry your pain with tenderness, not shame. You begin to listen more deeply, speak more honestly, and love more gently because you know what it feels like to suffer, and that knowledge becomes your gift. Think of monks who live in solitude for years. They are not running from the world. They are embracing a deeper connection that comes not from constant interaction, but from quiet understanding. When they meditate, they do so not only for themselves, but for all beings. They sit in silence not because they are alone, but because they feel connected to the entire web of life. This is the heart of Buddhist compassion, to recognize that we are all walking together, even when our paths seem separate. The next time you feel like no one cares, try this gentle practice. Close your eyes and picture someone else in the world, someone you don't even know who is feeling exactly the same pain. Maybe it's a mother in a quiet apartment, a student sitting on their bed in the dark, an elderly man watching the rain from his window, a teenager crying in a school bathroom. Breathe in their pain. Breathe out love. Silently say, "I see you. I feel what you feel. May you be held in peace." What you are doing in that moment is dissolving the illusion of separation. You are remembering the invisible thread that ties all of us together, the shared longing to be seen, to be loved, to feel less alone. This is not just spiritual poetry. It is deep truth. Behind every mask is a story. Behind every smile is a struggle. Behind every stranger's eyes is a heart that has known sorrow. And once you understand this, not just in your mind, but in your bones, you will never look at loneliness the same way again. It no longer becomes something to escape from. It becomes something to understand, to use, and to grow through. So the next time you're sitting alone, overwhelmed by the heaviness of silence, remember, your pain is not proof of your isolation, it is your connection. It is your reminder that you are human, and in being human, you are never truly alone, not in your suffering, not in your search for peace, and not in your silent hope to feel whole again. 6. Your worth is not measured by who notices you, it is rooted in simply being. In the modern world, it often feels like your value is measured by how visible you are, how many people text you, how many followers you have, how many likes, compliments, invitations, and validations you receive. If no one reaches out, if your phone stays quiet, if no one seems to care, you begin to question yourself. You start to believe that your worth is shrinking, that you've somehow become less important, less lovable, or less relevant, simply because the world has gone silent around you. But this belief is not the truth. It is the noise of a culture that has forgotten the sacredness of simply being. Buddhism teaches that your true value does not depend on how others react to you. It does not rise when people praise you or fall when they ignore you. Your worth is not a vote. It is not a performance. It is not something you have to prove or earn or beg for. Your worth simply is. Just as a mountain does not need to shout to be majestic, and a flower does not need an audience to bloom, you do not need to be seen to be valuable. Your existence, your breath, your consciousness, these are already miraculous. Think of the sun. It rises every morning, silently offering light, warmth, and life to the world. Most people don't notice it. They go about their day without looking up, without acknowledging the gift of its presence. But the sun does not stop shining just because no one claps. In the same way, you must learn to shine not for attention, not for praise, but because that is your nature. Your inner light is not for display. It is for guidance. It is for truth. It is for you. Too often, we tie our self-worth to the opinions of others. We think, if they love me, I matter. If they ignore me, I don't. But this way of thinking gives away your power. It places your peace in the hands of people who may not even understand themselves, let alone understand you. Buddhism encourages a different path, a return to the self, a deep awareness that your value is not negotiable. It is not up for debate. It is not conditional on what anyone else thinks. When you sit in silence and breathe, you begin to feel it. That quiet presence within you, that stillness that does not shout or crave, but simply is. It's easy to miss it when life is loud, when you're constantly comparing, constantly waiting to be chosen, to be acknowledged. But in moments of solitude, when all the distractions fall away, you start to realize something powerful. You were never lacking. You were simply looking in the wrong place. Even in nature, this truth is reflected everywhere. A tree does not rush to be taller because someone else grew faster. A river does not question its flow because someone isn't watching it. Everything simply fulfills its purpose, quietly, confidently, naturally. And so can you. You were not made to compete or impress. You were made to live, to breathe, to feel, to love. And these things do not need validation to be real. They are real because you are here. The pain of feeling unnoticed often comes from a deeper misunderstanding that we must constantly prove we are enough. But imagine a life where you no longer needed to chase anyone's attention, where your silence was not emptiness but fullness, where you didn't have to wait for someone to choose you because you had already chosen yourself. This is what Buddhism points us toward, a peaceful mind rooted in awareness, a self not shaped by popularity but by presence. The monks who sit in temples, deep in meditation, are not there because they were praised by crowds. They are not concerned with recognition. Their joy comes from within, from the stillness, from the breath, from the simple act of being fully here. That same joy is available to you, even now. You don't need a perfect life. You don't need an audience. You don't need permission. You just need to come home to yourself. So if today feels quiet, if the phone stays silent, if no one seems to care, don't panic. Don't spiral into doubt. Breathe. Sit with yourself. Feel your own heartbeat. Notice your breath rising and falling. That rhythm is life itself. That is enough. You are enough. Your value is not something others give you. It is something you were born with. It lives in your stillness, in your sincerity, in your quiet capacity to simply exist with open awareness. You don't need to be seen to shine. You don't need to be loved by others to love yourself. You don't need to be heard to have a voice. The most powerful presence is the one that does not demand attention because it has already found peace in its own being. And that peace, that quiet, deep, unshakable peace, is waiting for you in the silence, beneath the noise, beneath the need to be noticed. When you find it, you'll never again confuse attention with worth, because you'll finally know you matter because you are. 7. This feeling will not last. Even loneliness is impermanent. There are moments in life that feel like they will never end. Moments where the sadness sinks so deep, the silence becomes so loud, and the weight of loneliness so heavy that you start to believe it's permanent. You sit with your thoughts, your doubts, your aching heart, and it feels like nothing will ever change. The days blur into nights, and the nights stretch endlessly. You wonder if this emptiness is now a part of you forever, if the disconnection, the isolation, the sense of being forgotten will define the rest of your journey. But Buddhism teaches one of the most liberating and healing truths you will ever hear. Nothing lasts forever. Not joy, not pain, not even loneliness. Everything is impermanent. Everything changes. This principle of anicca, or impermanence, is one of the core teachings of the Buddha. It means that no state, no emotion, no situation is fixed. Everything is in motion. Life is not made of solid blocks, it is made of flowing rivers. What you feel today, no matter how intense, is not the final chapter. It is a passing weather pattern in the vast sky of your being. The clouds may be dark and full of rain, but they are not the sky itself. The sky remains, untouched and open, holding space for all things to come and go. When you are caught in deep loneliness, it can feel like you're stuck in a loop you can't escape. But what you're feeling is not a life sentence, it is a moment. A powerful, painful, possibly transformative moment, but still only a moment. Think back to your past. Can you remember the worst pain you ever felt? The heartbreak, the betrayal, the failure. At the time, it felt endless, but it passed. Not all at once, and not without scars, but it did pass. And so will this. The pain you feel right now is not permanent. It is a visitor, not a resident. And like all visitors, it will leave when its time is done. Understanding impermanence doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or pretend not to hurt. It means you sit with your loneliness with gentle awareness. You acknowledge it fully. Yes, I feel alone. Yes, this hurts. But this too shall pass. When you do this, something begins to shift. You move from being inside the storm to watching it. You become the observer, the witness. And in doing so, you find a space within you that is deeper than the emotion itself, a calm awareness that holds even your pain with compassion. The Buddha often used the metaphor of a lotus flower. The lotus grows from the mud, rising through dirty water toward the light. It is not harmed by the mud, it is shaped by it. Your loneliness is the mud, and you are the lotus, slowly rising, reaching, transforming. It may feel messy right now. It may feel like the light is far away, but every breath you take in awareness is a step upward. Every moment you choose to be present with your pain, instead of running from it, is a sign of growth. The danger of forgetting impermanence is that we begin to make our pain part of our identity. We say things like, "I'm always alone," or "No one ever stays," or "This is just who I am." But these are stories, not truths. They are the mind trying to create permanence where none exists. The moment you say, "This is how it will always be," you close the door to change. But when you say, "This is how it is right now," you open space for healing. You leave room for life to surprise you. And it will. The seasons are proof that nothing stays the same. Winter may feel long and cold, but spring always returns. The tree that looks dead today will bloom again. Your heart, too, will blossom. Your joy will come back, not by force, but by flow. All you have to do is stay rooted, stay patient, stay kind to yourself, and trust that what you're feeling now is part of a larger unfolding that you may not yet understand. You are not broken because you feel lonely. You are human. You are experiencing the raw, real truth of being alive. And just like the waves that rise and fall, so too will this emotion. One day, you will look back on this moment, not with bitterness, but with gratitude, because it taught you to sit with yourself. It taught you to listen. It taught you to feel. And in that quiet, something sacred happened. You began to awaken. So if you're hurting right now, remember this. Your loneliness is not forever. It is not your future. It is not your identity. It is a moment in time, a cloud passing through your sky. Let it move. Let it rain if it must. But never forget the sun behind it. Never forget that you are more than what you feel. You are awareness itself, calm, clear, timeless. And that awareness will carry you forward, beyond the silence, beyond the pain, and back into the light that was never truly gone. It was only hidden, waiting like you for the right moment to rise again. If there is one truth you carry with you from this journey, let it be this: you were never truly alone. Even in the most silent rooms, even in the deepest ache of isolation, even when it felt like the world had turned its back, you were still seen, still connected, still held by something greater than you could understand in that moment. Loneliness is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is not a punishment. It is not a sign that you are unlovable or forgotten. It is a sacred invitation, an inner calling to return to yourself, to listen to your breath, to meet your soul again without the noise of the world getting in the way. Buddhism teaches us that everything we seek on the outside, love, peace, belonging, worth, already within us. It has always been within us. The pain of being alone simply clears the surface so we can finally see what's been there all along. You are not broken because you feel empty. That emptiness is a teacher. That silence is a space where truth can grow. And even if no one calls, even if no one texts, even if the world seems indifferent, your existence matters deeply. The universe does not make extras. You are not a background character in someone else's story. You are the sacred unfolding of life itself, just as worthy, just as important, just as luminous as every star in the sky. So, the next time you feel like nobody cares, pause, sit, breathe, place your hand gently on your heart, and remind yourself, this moment will pass. This feeling is not the truth of who I am. I am part of something vast, something living, something beautiful, and I belong. And when you rise from that quiet moment, rise gently, walk slowly, speak softly, and carry with you the silent strength that comes not from being surrounded by others, but from finally remembering who you are. You are not alone. You never were. You simply forgot to look within. And now you are beginning to remember. That is not the end of your story. That is the beginning of your awakening. Imagine a life where you no longer make excuses for your failures, where comfort doesn't hold you back from reaching your full potential, and where fear no longer has a grip on you. Picture waking up every day with a sense of purpose, clarity, and the inner strength to take on whatever challenges come your way. This isn't some distant dream. It's a reality waiting for you, and it all begins by adopting 10 transformative habits inspired by the wisdom of Buddhism. As Buddha once said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Today, we're going to break free from the limitations that have kept you stuck and show you how to unlock a life of real growth, power, and peace. Are you ready to stop hiding from your true potential and start living the life you were meant for? Let's dive in and make it happen. 1. Stop being so comfortable with your current life. Buddhism teaches that growth and transformation happen when we step outside of our comfort zones. Staying in a place of comfort may feel safe, but it also means you're not challenging yourself to improve or reach your full potential. Comfort can create a false sense of security, where you settle for what's easy and familiar, which often leads to stagnation. To truly grow, you need to face new challenges, even if they feel uncomfortable at first. This could mean trying something you've never done before, learning a new skill, or confronting uncomfortable truths about yourself. When you embrace discomfort, you push yourself to overcome fears, expand your capabilities, and discover strengths you didn't know you had. Remember, Personal growth is all about moving beyond what's comfortable and allowing yourself to explore new experiences. It's through discomfort that you learn, evolve, and become a stronger version of yourself. 2. Stop making excuses for your failures. Buddhism encourages us to practice self-reflection and take full accountability for our actions. It's easy to make excuses when things don't go as planned, but doing so only keeps you stuck and prevents growth. Instead of blaming others or circumstances, it's important to take responsibility for your failures and recognize that they are an inevitable part of life. No one is perfect, and everyone makes mistakes. That's how we learn. In Buddhism, failures are seen as valuable teachers, offering lessons that can help you become wiser and stronger. By accepting your mistakes without shame or guilt, you create an opportunity to learn from them and make better choices moving forward. It's not about beating yourself up, but about acknowledging where you can improve and using those experiences to grow. When you stop making excuses and take full responsibility, you start to empower yourself to take control of your future rather than letting past mistakes define you. Embrace your failures as part of your journey and use them as stepping stones toward success. 3. Cut out people who don't challenge you. Buddhism teaches us that the people we surround ourselves with have a powerful influence on our lives. Our environment shapes who we are and can either help us grow or hold us back. If you are surrounded by people who don't inspire you, challenge you, or push you to be your best self, it can be difficult to make progress. Some people may drain your energy with negativity or keep you stuck in old habits. While it's important to be compassionate and kind to everyone, it's also crucial to recognize when certain relationships are holding you back from your true potential. In order to grow and evolve, you need to be around people who encourage you to take risks, support your dreams, and challenge your thinking. These are the people who will help you stay focused on your personal growth and help you align with your higher purpose. It's okay to outgrow relationships that no longer serve your well-being or personal development. Let go of those who hinder your growth, and instead, seek out individuals who will elevate you. By surrounding yourself with those who inspire and challenge you, you create a positive and motivating environment that supports your journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. 4. Stop seeking constant validation. In Buddhism, we learn that external validation, or seeking approval from others, is temporary and unreliable. No matter how many compliments or praises we receive, they often don't last, and they can leave us feeling empty when they fade. Constantly looking for validation from others can also make us feel insecure and dependent on outside opinions to feel good about ourselves. However, true happiness and self-worth come from within. Instead of seeking approval from others, cultivate self-validation. This means learning to trust in your own abilities, decisions, and inner wisdom. When you learn to believe in yourself and recognize your own value, you'll no longer rely on others to define your worth. Self-validation gives you a deeper sense of fulfillment because it's rooted in who you truly are, not in what others think of you. When you stop seeking validation from the outside, you begin to live more authentically and with confidence. You'll discover that lasting happiness doesn't come from external praise, but from trusting yourself and your own journey. 5. Stop avoiding pain and discomfort. Pain and discomfort are natural parts of the human experience, and Buddhism teaches us that avoiding them only makes them worse in the long run. It's easy to want to run away from difficult emotions, situations, or challenges because they feel uncomfortable. But when we try to escape pain, we often end up prolonging it. Avoidance can create more suffering because it keeps us from fully experiencing and processing what we're going through. Instead of avoiding pain, learn to face it with mindfulness and acceptance. This means acknowledging your feelings without judgment or resistance. When you experience pain, whether emotional or physical, try to stay present with it instead of pushing it away. When you allow yourself to feel discomfort fully, you open the door to healing. By accepting pain as part of life, you can move through it more quickly and grow stronger. Discomfort, when faced with mindfulness, doesn't have to be a barrier. It can be a path to deeper wisdom and personal growth. Each time you face pain instead of avoiding it, you build resilience, learning more about yourself and your ability to overcome challenges. 6. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start. The idea of perfection is often an illusion. Many of us wait for the perfect moment when everything will align perfectly before we take action, but that moment never truly comes. Buddhism teaches us that the present moment is the only time that matters. Waiting for external circumstances to be ideal is a form of procrastination that can hold us back from making progress in our lives. Whether you have a personal goal you want to achieve or a new project you're excited about, the truth is, there will never be a perfect time to start. Life is always changing, and there will always be challenges or uncertainties along the way. Instead of waiting for everything to be just right, take action now. Starting doesn't mean everything will be flawless. It just means you're moving forward. The key is to start where you are with what you have and make adjustments as you go. When you take that first step, you'll learn along the way and refine your approach as you gain more experience. By beginning now, you create momentum and build confidence, which will carry you towards success. Remember, the perfect moment doesn't exist. The best time to act is always right now. 7. Be honest with yourself about your limitations. Buddhism teaches the importance of self-awareness and honesty, and this includes being honest with yourself about your limitations. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that we must be perfect, always strong, and capable of doing everything. However, accepting that you have limitations is not a weakness. It's a form of empowerment. When we deny our limitations or try to pretend they don't exist, we create unnecessary stress and set ourselves up for failure. Buddhism encourages us to look inward and honestly assess where we are right now, recognizing both our strengths and our areas for improvement. Being honest with yourself allows you to take responsibility for your growth and know when to ask for help or seek guidance. It's okay not to be good at everything or to have weaknesses. Acknowledging them is the first step towards self-improvement. For example, if you know that time management is a challenge for you, you can create strategies to address it, such as setting clearer goals or using tools to stay organized. When you embrace your limitations, you no longer have to pretend to be perfect, and you give yourself the freedom to grow at your own pace. Moreover, honesty with yourself helps you make more realistic goals and avoid setting yourself up for failure by overextending your abilities. You can then focus on what really matters and work on improving your weaknesses in a healthy and sustainable way. This kind of self-awareness allows you to create balance in your life, acknowledging what you can do, accepting what you cannot, and finding ways to enhance your capabilities. Instead of beating yourself up over limitations, embrace them with a mindset of growth and acceptance. When you let go of unrealistic expectations and be honest about where you stand, you open yourself up to greater personal development and peace. The goal is not to be perfect, but to recognize and embrace the whole of who you are, including your imperfections, while working steadily toward becoming a better version of yourself. By doing so, you allow space for growth, transformation, and the ability to live more authentically. 8. Stop giving energy to things that don't matter. In life, we are constantly faced with distractions, demands, and things that may seem important in the moment, but are ultimately unimportant in the bigger picture. Buddhism teaches us the importance of focusing our energy on what truly matters, rather than wasting it on things that don't contribute to our growth or well-being. The world around us is full of noise, social media, unnecessary drama, people's opinions, or material pursuits that offer only temporary satisfaction. If we give our energy to these things, we end up feeling drained and disconnected from our true purpose. When you constantly give your time and attention to things that don't align with your core values, it becomes increasingly difficult to find peace and fulfillment. Buddhism encourages us to practice mindful living, which means being conscious of where we invest our energy. Instead of getting caught up in trivial matters or external distractions, focus on the things that bring you closer to your goals and align with your true self. This can be anything from nurturing meaningful relationships, dedicating time to personal growth, or pursuing a passion that fills your heart with purpose. Start by identifying what truly matters to you. Ask yourself, what brings me joy and fulfillment? What aligns with my values and my goals? This clarity will help you let go of the unnecessary clutter that drains your energy. For example, instead of obsessing over things outside of your control, like someone else's opinion or a news story that doesn't impact you personally, channel your energy into what you can influence, such as your mental and physical health, your relationships, or your personal development. Letting go of things that don't matter also involves setting boundaries and learning to say no. Buddhism teaches us that we don't need to say yes to every request or invitation that comes our way. It's important to protect your time and energy, ensuring that you invest them in things that will have a lasting positive impact on your life. This might mean distancing yourself from toxic environments or people who constantly drain your energy, or it could mean stepping back from mindless distractions, like scrolling through social media for hours that only leave you feeling empty. Another important aspect of this principle is learning how to focus on what's within your control. It's easy to get caught up in trying to manage things that are beyond your reach, such as other people's actions or the outcomes of certain situations. However, the more you focus on things outside of your control, the more stress and frustration you invite into your life. Buddhism reminds us to focus our energy on the present moment and the things that we can change: our mindset, our actions, and our responses to the world around us. Ultimately, when you stop giving energy to things that don't matter, you create more space for peace, clarity, and purpose. You'll find yourself more aligned with your true values and better equipped to handle the challenges that come your way. By focusing on what truly nourishes your spirit, you create a life that's grounded in meaning and fulfillment. You become more mindful of where you invest your time, energy, and resources, and as a result, you start to experience life with greater intention, joy, and balance. 9. Stop hiding from your fear. Fear is a natural and inevitable part of life. Buddhism teaches us that rather than running from fear, we should face it with acceptance and courage. Fear often holds us back from reaching our full potential, whether it's the fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown. Many people choose to hide from their fears, avoiding situations or decisions that make them uncomfortable. However, this avoidance only gives fear more power over time. It grows larger in our minds the more we resist it, and it limits us from living fully. When we avoid fear, we allow it to control us. In Buddhism, there's a concept called mindful awareness, which encourages us to acknowledge our fears without judgment. This means observing our fear as it arises, understanding where it comes from, and recognizing that it is simply an emotional response, not something that defines us. Fear is often based on illusions or past experiences that are no longer relevant in the present moment. By facing fear head-on and not running from it, we can see it for what it truly is, just another emotion that passes through us. Instead of hiding from your fear, embrace it as a signal for growth. Each time you confront your fear, you challenge the limits you've placed on yourself. For example, if you fear speaking in public, facing that fear may push you to improve your communication skills and build confidence. If you're afraid of failing, acknowledging that fear allows you to learn from mistakes and view failure as a necessary part of the journey to success. By leaning into the discomfort that fear brings, you transform it into a source of strength and wisdom. Buddhism teaches us to practice compassion towards ourselves during fearful moments. Rather than criticizing yourself for being afraid, show yourself kindness and patience. Fear is a natural part of the human experience, and everyone feels it at some point. What matters is how you respond to it. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. To begin overcoming your fears, start with small steps. For instance, if social situations make you anxious, begin by participating in smaller, less intimidating gatherings. Gradually, as you face your fears in manageable doses, they lose their power over you. Over time, you'll find that your ability to face fear with resilience grows, and you begin to approach life with more confidence and a sense of freedom. When you stop hiding from your fear, you stop allowing it to control your life. Confronting fear gives you the opportunity to grow stronger, expand your comfort zone, and live more authentically. Fear no longer has to be something that holds you back. Instead, it becomes a tool for transformation, a sign that you're pushing boundaries, learning, and becoming the person you're meant to be. 10. Let go of the past and move on. Buddhism teaches us that attachment to the past is one of the greatest sources of suffering. We often find ourselves holding on to old memories, regrets, or unresolved emotions, believing that they define who we are. Whether it's past mistakes, painful experiences, or lost opportunities, clinging to the past can prevent us from fully experiencing the present and moving forward in life. The truth is, the past is no longer real. It's a collection of memories and stories we tell ourselves. It cannot be changed, and it doesn't need to control our future. Letting go of the past doesn't mean forgetting it or dismissing it. It means releasing the emotional weight and the limiting beliefs that come with it. When we hold on to anger, guilt, or regret from past events, we carry that burden with us, and it influences the way we live today. This attachment to the past often keeps us stuck in cycles of negative thinking and prevents us from seeing the opportunities available in the present moment. Forgiveness is an essential part of letting go. Buddhism teaches that forgiveness is not about excusing the actions of others, but rather about releasing the hold that the past has on us. When you forgive, you free yourself from the emotional chains that bind you to old hurt. It's a form of self-liberation that allows you to heal and move forward. This forgiveness extends not only to others, but also to yourself. We are often our own harshest critics, holding on to guilt for things we cannot change. By letting go of self-blame and accepting your mistakes, you create space for growth and self-compassion. Letting go of the past also means not allowing past experiences to define your future. The mistakes you made, the losses you've suffered, and the pain you've endured do not have to dictate who you are today or who you will become. Buddhism reminds us that every moment is an opportunity to start anew. The present moment is where you have the power to create change and cultivate peace. By focusing on the present, rather than dwelling on past events, you can begin to build the life you desire. The act of letting go can be liberating. Imagine no longer being burdened by past regrets or grudges. Imagine waking up each day with a sense of freedom, freedom to pursue your goals, enjoy relationships, and experience life without the weight of old wounds. This doesn't mean erasing the past, but rather choosing to live fully in the present and create a future based on what truly matters to you now. In practical terms, letting go of the past involves practicing mindfulness and self-awareness. When thoughts of the past arise, recognize them without judgment, then gently shift your focus back to the present moment. Engage in activities that help you reconnect with the here and now, whether it's meditation, journaling, or simply spending time in nature. Over time, you'll find that your attachment to the past weakens and your ability to live fully in the present strengthens. Letting go is not an overnight process. It takes time and practice. But each step you take towards releasing the past brings you closer to the freedom and peace that come from living in alignment with your true self. By letting go of the past, you create the space for new experiences, growth, and the joy that comes from being fully alive in the moment. Incorporating these 10 powerful habits into your life can create an instant transformation. By challenging yourself, embracing discomfort, and letting go of attachments, you align yourself with the timeless wisdom of Buddhism and open the door to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Remember, change doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start with one habit and gradually weave the others into your daily routine.